Are you in business and not satisfied with your growth? Are you an entrepreneur who wants your business to succeed? Today on the Possibility Mom Live, I'm unpacking some really typical reasons why most entrepreneurs fail. I am so excited to unpack this with you on the Possibility Mom Live. If you have been listening to my show for a little while, you know that I have been working on my own relationship with failure. This has basically been the theme of my coaching sessions with my mindset coach, Erin Ingold. It has been something that I have been journaling on. It is something that I've been creating content around because I am in a very interesting pivotal, I'm going to call it pivotal, but it really feels like I'm making a lot of progress in my own relationship with failure. So, of course, naturally, I'm thinking about it a lot. So, today I want to share with you 7 ways that I observe most entrepreneurs fail, and of course, what to do about them. And this is coming from my 15 years plus of business, both online and off. This is coming from my observation of coaching now probably over 100 women in this area. And what I observe to be stumbling blocks in myself. And I'm going to share some really transparent, honest things over here so that you can avoid these things too and make the kind of progress that I know you want to be able to make in your business. So I really want to encourage you to take notes, to listen all the way to the end, because I believe that these typical ways that people don't make growth, these typical ways that can lead to failure in a business, are actually pretty easy to fix once you are aware that they are happening. And I just want to begin with a big caveat on all of this. Failure, I'm using this, like, even as I was titling this podcast episode, I was like, "Oh, this is a trigger word." Like, I don't even know if I want to put fail in the title of the episode, but I really want to encourage you to remember that when we fail, it's actually a learning. So if anything here you listen to and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible. I'm failing at every single one of these 7 things." Hear me before I dive into the content. You are learning by taking progress. And I even want to posit something that Aaron said to me this morning in my coaching session. What if failure actually isn't even a thing? You're just always learning. So I really want to preface this content with all of that. All right, let us dive right into it with the very first reason that I see as a behavior that can lead to failure. And that is that you have not identified the actual problem your customer has. Okay, so let's unpack this. As an entrepreneur, you are in the business of solving a problem. When you think about it, you, as the end user, when you are shopping for new shoes for your child, you're solving the problem that they don't have shoes that fit. When you are finding somebody to clean your house, you are solving the problem that you do not have time to clean your house, maybe to the standard that you would like. When you are trying to find a school for your children, you are solving the problem of the best education for them. We are in the business of solving problems. But what I observe about entrepreneurs, and you know that you might be having a challenge with this if you continue to change niches, if you have a hard time maybe solidifying or confirming an offer, but especially if you find that you are changing your niche or changing your area of specialty a lot, you might want to pay attention to this. The real problem is you have not identified the actual problem that the person has. So let me give you an example of this. Life coaching. I have seen a real surgence of life coaches, especially Catholic life coaching, which I think is so exciting and compelling and amazing. And sometimes when we sell life coaching, we can use language um like following your dreams, wholeness, self-worth. And here's what I want to argue. Those things are the accurate outcome, the solution. That is what you are going to provide. This is what you hope this person leads to. But when your customer is up at night and cannot sleep, when she is biting her nails because she is worried, when she is on Google searching for a solution, she is very likely not typing into the Google search bar s- solution to feeling not whole. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what she is searching. The problem that she feels is, I have a lack of confidence. I have no time management skills. I um I'm insecure about the way I look. I am overweight. Like, these are problems that she can name. And it is so important that the solution that you are marketing, number one, obviously answers the question or solves the problem that she has. But are you using the language that she is actually internally using? This is a concept that I learned from one of my online coaches, Ryan Levesque. I have been in his world for many, many years, and it is a just an incredible realization when you can use the language that your people speak in. They're going to understand. Oh yeah, she helps me solve a problem. So the very first way that I want you all to really observe in your own business, especially if you continue to change niches or feel tempted to constantly change things in your business because something isn't working, why not instead let's make sure that you are actually speaking in the language of your person, and are you actually identifying and talking about a problem that your audience knows they have? This is so, so important. Okay, so number one, have you identified their actual problem, and are you communicating in a way that is the language that they speak and not like language from your industry or coach speak, we like to call it, when you kind of speak in a way that's like, follow your dreams, let's all be whole. Those are all great things, but it might not be the way your target audience is thinking. All right, that is number one. Number two, if you want to fail proof your business, so to speak, if you want to move your business forward, a problem that I see that could lead to failure is that people build an audience, but then don't nurture this audience. And this is so important to recognize and realize. We there's a lot of ways you can build an audience, and I'm not going to go into those ways too much in this episode. You can build an audience through your social media channels, of course. You can build your audience through something like this, a podcast or a show. You can build your audience through just old school word of mouth and networking. But the way that I really like to encourage my people in my coaching program, Wealth Without Guilt, funnel all those people, is into an email list. This is simply just a tried and true practice. There's a lot of statistics and industry standards around an email list. And if you even think about your own behavior, how many times have you observed something on social media, said to yourself, oh, I'll come back to it, but then never gone back? For most people, there are anomalies to this, of course, but for most people, email continues to be a way, that people track their correspondence, that they can see if they've opened or not opened an email. In my own business, my statistics show me that my sales from my email list are always the most consistent. I have ways of being able to see literally how did people come in, and it is in email that is the highest conversion in my business. And this is a very typical true statement I'm trying to make. Of course, there can be some exceptions, but email continues to be a way that you can Communicate with your audience and then, of course, sell to them. Think about this for a minute. How many times have you observed Instagram go down for a few hours? So, like, whatever happens on the back end, all of a sudden Instagram doesn't work. A lot of social media influencers rely on Instagram and people being able to click their affiliate links and then buy something. And that is how they get paid. When Instagram goes down, all of a sudden they have lost their pathway to money. This is a problem. And so this is why many online marketers, not just me, encourage people to own something on the internet. You don't own Instagram, so building a platform on a entity that you don't own can be problematic when that entity goes away temporarily or what have you. So your email list you own. And here's the thing, when you have those people, there are some people who build an audience, but then you don't do anything with them, this becomes a problem. We want to build relationship. I like to talk about it almost from the if you can imagine building relationship equity. When you are making deposits into a bank account, into a long-term savings account, for example, you are building equity. When you buy a home and the price of your home continues to go up because the value of your neighborhood continues to rise, you're building equity. I love the idea of doing that with your audience. And so it's not enough to just build an audience. We also have to nurture that audience. And you can nurture that audience through your email. You can nurture that audience through content, like a live show or what have you. But you really have to remind them that this content exists. And so my favorite way to build an audience and then continue to have a relationship with them is through an email, like through regular correspondence. And this can happen once a week. For some people, it could be more than once a week, but I would say that at minimum once a week is a great practice to begin if you want to build relationship with your audience on a longer term. All right. So, number one, identify their actual problem and speak to them in the language they actually use. Number two, build your audience, but ensure that you nurture them. Number three is something I observe is people being afraid to give away content because then people will not buy. This is something that I really want to encourage you to flip your thinking on completely. Now, some of my opinion on this is anecdotal, meaning I observe this about myself and I observe this about my fellow online personalities or influencers or people building businesses around them as their personality. Some of it is just my gut instinct, but a lot of this is about my own observation about how I buy. And I believe it's why we've moved so much to this influencer method of purchasing. Even massive brands work with influencers. When you think of, car companies, Matthew McConaughey it comes to mind with selling. This is interesting. I can't remember the exact car that he's selling. I think it's Buick. Anyway, but my point is, massive companies will bring on, Jennifer Garner for Capital One, for example. There's another example. But of course, the influencer marketing, where you have uh, companies recognize, a company like Amazon recognizes that there are people who exist who have built a community, who have built an audience. And when they sell their products, they are more likely to receive a return. So these large companies realize the power that sometimes I've heard it referred to as micro influencers as well, people who have built an audience where there is trust. So this requires generosity on your part as the entrepreneur, on your part as the business builder. And I just argue there is never a bad outcome from being generous. Because here's the thing. So you might be thinking, and feel free to disagree with me if you have questions, please put them. If you're watching live, put them in the chat. But you might be thinking, well, if I give it all away, what will there be left for someone to buy? And I really want to encourage you that that is limited thinking, because here's what I know. When someone is on the mindset of just like consuming content, think about this for a minute. They might be doing the dishes, they might be doing the laundry, they might be playing outside, like watching their kids play outside while they have earbuds in their ears, listening to a free podcast. They're certainly consuming the behavior or the information, but they might not be ready to do anything with it beyond that. They might not even be receiving it completely, or they might be receiving little bits and pieces of it. When you sell a product, part of that sales is providing them a focused way to take in that information. And you might be thinking, yeah, but it's the same thing. It's just like a video or it's just like an audio thing. Yes, I understand that, but it's positioned in a way that you are here to learn. For those of you who deliver information, your business is information based. They have the knowledge that they're logging into a portal, they're accessing something for their benefit that they have paid for. There's a very different relationship people have with the information when it is something they have invested in. People pay, people show up when they pay, right? I can't tell you how many times I have done these free events thinking everyone's going to come because it's free. Sometimes that can work, obviously, but when people pay, they know that there is something that they have given up in exchange for some value, and there is a greater likelihood that they will participate. Sometimes people don't. Sometimes people just pay because they want to and they won't ever participate. I have some customers who are like that. I have some customers who buy my products and either only enjoy a few, like one module of it, or they don't even open it. And I have reached back out to people, and people have literally told me, "Yeah, I just bought it because I really wanted to support you." So there are some exceptions to this rule. However, I really want to encourage you: the more generous you can be, the more you can actually prime your audience to trust you. I love to use this example of Stacey Bayman. So Stacey Bayman is someone that I have invested. She's a coach with the Life Coach School. She helps life coaches make money online. And I must have listened to, I think, every single webinar she has available to sell her product. It just took me a really long time to be able to understand if this is a product that I would enjoy, if this is a product that I would benefit. And sometimes that simply just happens. I always love to tell the story of Kathleen LeBlanc, who I interviewed last week on the podcast. It took her probably, I don't know, like years of, we had been socially sort of friendly with each other for many years. So there was some familiarity there. But then I think we counted, it was 4 offers where I literally said, "Hey, I really think you would like this. Would you like to do this now?" And she declined maybe 4 times previously. And it was that last time where it was just a slightly different offer, the timing, the available funds, all the things, which is what made it a heck yes. So I really just want to encourage you that this buildup of trust, this buildup of information can help your audience grow in their knowledge of you, grow in their trust with you, uh, grow in any sort of being able to handle any naysaying they have in their head. My sleep deprivation is not allowing me to think of the word for objections. Any objections, you can actually answer all their objections in advance. You can deal with objections in advance so that when they come to the time when the timing is right for them, they're actually just a heck yes. So I really just want to encourage you. There's one other bonus that comes with creating content and being generous and just giving it away. You then become so clear. You become so clear on what it is that is unique about you. If you go back to the first thing, this identification of the actual problem your customer has, it's okay if you don't know it. What I really want to encourage you, like, listen to me loud and clear. Look me in the eyes if you're watching this on YouTube. What I really want to encourage you is that the pursuit of creating this content and being generous and giving it away is actually going to be the thing that helps you. It will help you become more clear on the problem that you solve. It will help you become more clear who in your audience actually is, how they communicate, what is keeping them up at night. And then again, in the end of the day, help them. I really believe that the majority of people, and if you're listening to this podcast, you are very likely one of them, get into business to help other people. Obviously, we want to make money. What is my group coaching program called? Wealth Without Guilt. That is just like, put that aside for a moment. Of course, there is a financial incentive to building a business. But I believe if you are here and in my world, you are looking for impact. You are looking to build the kingdom. You are looking to bring people closer to Jesus or have better relationships or, be just simply live the truth that you know is available for them, that you have a lens that can help them get where they want to go. Today, I was playing with some wording around following God's will for your mother, or excuse me, discovering. Of course, I want you to follow, but discovering God's will for your motherhood and business. Like, we want impact. I know if you're listening here, you want impact. And so I want to encourage you that you will gain clarity on, like, I want you to gain clarity on exactly what that problem is, and creating free content is just such a great way for you to gain that clarity. Okay, so this is the do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Give your content away. For all you David Haas fans out there. I think that's David Haas, right? Do not be afraid. I'm with you. Okay. This is a Catholic inside joke. P.S. If you're listening to this and you have no idea what that song was, that is a little Catholic 1970s music inside joke. All right. Number 4, an observation I have what that can lead to failure in a business is that you have a great offer, but there's no easy way to buy. Now, I'm going to be super, I don't know if I mentioned this at the top. I'm sure I did, but maybe I didn't. I am also very guilty of all of these things. And I'm going to be super transparent. When you go to my website, lisacanning.ca, which is my main website on the internet, there is no button to buy Wealth Without Guilt, my signature group coaching experience for Catholic business owners who are moms. That's a problem. We are currently in the progress of changing completely all my platforms. We moved my entire business from one platform to another one. It's been like a whole thing on the back end. And so I am guilty of this right now. So I'm putting my own service, Wealth Without Guilt, in the description right here. You can click on it if you're interested. If these concepts are interesting to you, I invite you to take a look at Wealth Without Guilt, which is right down below in the description or in the comments somewhere. It's somewhere. But this is I'm in humility sharing with you. You can have an amazing product, but if it's not easy for people to buy, they can't buy it. You will not make money. Your business will not be sustainable. So I want to share with you 2 ways that I observe. Number 1 is in the tech. So meaning, it's kind of like mine. I don't have a link on my main website. That's a problem. That is simply just a tech thing that can be rectified fairly simply by I just need to go onto the back end of my website and have my team add Wealth Without Guilt onto lisacanning.ca. Another way that tech can be challenging and not an easy way for someone to buy is, of course, you click the link or you click the button that says buy now and nothing happens. Can't tell you how many times that has happened to me. It's just like I've done that myself in my business, not really realize that something wasn't linked to something else. And so there are tech reasons why someone might not have an easy time purchasing. I could go on the biggest tangent here, but for example, we need to make sure that our websites for people to buy things work both on mobile and work both on desktop and on tablet. There are certain small things for optimization that are really essential because a lot of people, and if I'm not mistaken, the stats in my own business reveal that most people buy from me on their phones. And so if I don't have the mobile website version optimized to fit and to work in mobile, then the majority, the way that people buy typically from me, will not be easy. And again, your diehard fans, certainly, they might message you, they might go back, they might have the patience to try from your desktop. But for other people who maybe were just like, perusing the internet, landed on an ad, and then clicked, you are potentially missing out on a great relationship with them. So just want to really like, tech can be really simply solved by testing your purchase before, having somebody else who doesn't know anything about you take a look at your website and say, hey, do you understand what it is that I'm providing here? So that's the tech aspect. The other aspect that I observe is copy. And this goes right back up to the first point I made. You've not identified the actual problem your customer has. And so in this aspect, sometimes what I observe is that a sales page can be too verbose. Like where so many words fit into a really small spot that actually feels really overwhelming. And in the end, the buyer is confused. The confused mind does not buy. I can't remember who originated that quote, but it is a very good one. The confused mind does not buy. And so either in the tech, like the actual nuts and bolts of a website, or in the copy or the messaging or the positioning, the communication, um, if you can have an amazing offer, but if it's actually really confusing what it is or how to get it or what it entails, you might not convert your customers and make the impact that you would like to make. Okay, that is number four. Number five is related a little bit, but it's a problem with not being evident that you are open for business online. So, when somebody sends me a DM on Instagram and says, hey, I think you would really like what blah 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 is doing. Have you ever heard of her? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I will often look at their Instagram profile. So I'll just, like, or somebody mentions to me, hey, this person would be a great guest on your podcast. So I don't doubt they'd be a great guest on their podcast. Of course, I'm trusting the recommendation of my person. I will click on the link. And then if I go on their link, and again, there's not maybe a post that's been posted recently, or there has been like, there's no link where I can learn more about them. I might, of course, just be like, oh, okay, well, maybe they're not really in business right now, or they're taking a break, or whatever. And again, that's completely fine. But if you want people to discover you, we want to pay attention to what happens when you're Googled. Try Googling yourself, and you'll be able to see, obviously, like where you fall in the Google ranking or what links come up first. These are great little pieces of intel for you. So, to be evident that your business is actually open online, actually available, you just simply need to have the correct links that go places. You need to have some kind of presence that you are actually awake and alive. A regular, and again, I pretty sure that my website still says I have 7 children. So again, I'm not trying to say that I have this all um down pat by any means. But this is another thing that I think is important to keep you top of mind and to actually help people understand that, like, hey, you're actually open for business and you actually have an offer. It requires that you also have an offer. In my humble opinion, every entrepreneur needs to have some way that people can work with them if you are truly looking to grow your business. If you're not trying to grow your business, then that's one thing. You don't have to have an offer. If you don't want to grow, like, there are some businesses that can do completely well with simply word of mouth, like, and again, some businesses, that's all you need. If you really only want to, make a certain amount of money, or you only want to coach a certain number of people, for example, then it's completely up to you how much you market yourself. But again, if you're listening to this podcast, my estimate would be that you care about impact. If you are that kind of person who wants their audience base to grow so you can help a lot of people, and again, this is personal choice, then let's make sure that you have something on the internet that shows that you are actually in business. Okay, so that is that. But I'm going to actually argue with myself. Even if you want to have a small amount of customers, in my humble opinion, it's really important that you have something online that shows exactly what you offer because you want to be known for what you offer so that that word of mouth piece works. You know what I mean? Like very often, and again, think about your own consumer behavior. If someone recommends, hey, you would really like this brand, you might have enough trust with that friend to just be like, done. I'm just going to move forward with this person because I trust you immensely. And you don't do any research. That does happen. I do that sometimes with people. I will not Google, I will not anything. But I would say that the majority of the time and the majority of situations, somebody's going to at least go and look on the internet. Hey, send me their website. A lot of people ask me for um, the name of the immigration lawyer who helped us move here from Canada to the United States. And like, I will just say the name and then they'll be like, and do you have their website handy? And I'm like, it's like just the natural follow-up question. Like, is this the website? Or they'll go Google the website and then come back to me and be like, is this the website? Most of the time when people are looking to invest in something, especially as something that might have higher stakes to it, like coaching or another higher end offer, um, they will do some research. So, love to have a sense that you are actually available and have something that is a relevant to date offer on the internet. Okay. Reason number 6 that I think a business can lead to failure is that an entrepreneur is not open to B minus work. Now, what do I mean by this? This phrase B minus work, I'm pretty sure is something that Brooke Castillo uses in the life coach school because I hear a lot of life coach school coaches say this. So I'm not sure if this is not her phrase or whatever, but essentially, you know how you can go to school and you can get like an A, a B, a C, a D, and if you're failing, you're getting an F, whatever. B minus work simply refers to being okay with not perfect. I remember my husband and I were just talking about this that Michael Hyatt was interviewing Donald Miller, if I'm not mistaken. And he said one of his first products was a binder, like literally a binder, like a 3-hole punch, 3-ring binder that he just put a bunch of papers in, put that in an envelope, and sent it on its way. And that was his first product. It was full of typos, like it wasn't fancy. We have got to get okay with this is good enough. Now, am I saying don't provide great customer service? Am I saying don't be proud of your work? Absolutely not. I believe that the user experience really matters. We all know what it's like to be on the tail end of not so great customer service. So I'm not saying make people angry, but like, I'll be honest, like when I see a worksheet that has a typo, I am very forgiving. Like, I'm just like, "Oh," like, the PS, the brain autocorrects typos a lot of the time, okay? So, like, in my humble opinion, having something out and done is so much better than in your brain and not moved forward. And I want to give you an example from my own business why I care about this. Like, look at my eyes. If you're watching this live on YouTube, my eyes are like bulging because I care about this so, so much. So I'm going to use Kathleen LeBlanc as an example. Wealth Without Guilt, I'm going to be super honest. Like when I look at the back end of it, the way that I've laid out the program could use a lot of improvement. And in fact, there are modules inside of Wealth Without Guilt that I'm continuing to film. Like I'm continuing to add to the content it is not at the place where I would love it to be. But I made an intentional decision to launch with enough, like to launch with what I believed is still an amazing product, but knowing that there is always so much room for improvement. And I really, really, really was challenged by that. I almost, I still, even as I'm talking about it, this familiar feeling of like icky, almost like feeling like exposed is coming up in me. And but here's the thing, if I had not launched when I did, which was a few months ago, and Kathleen LeBlanc, who I interviewed last week, had not signed up, she would not have made the $4,000 that she made on her launch. She would not have the 34 Catholic married couples who are now participating in the membership that her and her husband Jesse have started. She would not have a taste of the belief in herself, like she shared on last week's podcast. She would not have that belief that, oh my goodness, I can, number one, charge for a Catholic product, and number two, I can make money. Like people will buy it. If I had waited for Wealth Without Guilt to be as good as I wanted it to be in my head, but I had allowed that almost idol of, I'm not even gonna call it perfection, but just like the whatever I pictured. If I had waited until it was exactly what I pictured, I would not be able to tell you this story, and Kathleen LeBlanc would not have the belief and would not have moved forward with the impact and the monetary compensation that she now has. And I just really want to encourage this to you too. When we take action, we get clarity. When we take action and are generous and are okay, and this is good enough, we get feedback. We get actual intel on how to make it better. Then I really believe if we just sort of wait and wait and wait and wait, and then you spend a bunch of money on a tech team to make it look fancy, and you hire the best videographers and the best, marketing company, da 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 da, and you do that all, but you haven't actually come up with the best content. It just looks good. There's a problem, and it can be made just so much better and easier. Your process, your journey as an entrepreneur will be so much more fun if you are willing to be okay with good enough. Because here's the thing, now there's certain exceptions to this, of course, but your audience probably won't even know the difference. Okay. They are thrilled with what you have put out because they cannot see inside your brain. And again, that's why I hesitate to use the word perfection, because something can always be improved. It's just the reality. So be okay with B minus work. And this comes to a natural progression in the final reason why I observe businesses fail. And that is that you are afraid of failure. Listen to that. I know it's kind of a weird little mind trip, but like a huge reason why I observe businesses fail is because the person at the helm making the decisions, the solopreneur, the content creator, the online influencer, is afraid of failure. When we are afraid of failure, our brain tries to protect ourselves. And so, naturally, of course, you might do things like, well, I'm not even going to publish the page. I'm not even going to show up. I'm not going to send the proposal. I'm not going to, even talk about this online because of what people are going to think. I've done so many podcasts on this topic. So I want to invite you. We'll put in the show notes later on some of the relevant episodes that will help you with failure. But the biggest thing is that this has to come, like your activities in your business have to come from a place of love. I want to tell you a story. Many of you know I'm a beauty counter consultant. I am a proud one. I know that multi level marketing can be a divisive topic to talk about. And I know that there are people out there who have had challenging experiences either themselves or they have witnessed somebody have a very negative experience in a multi-level or network marketing company. I totally recognize that. My experience has not been the same. I have loved my experience and income that has come with my beauty counter business. It has been so much fun to help women feel more confident, to help women feel seen, to help women make money for their families. In my beauty counter team, I just began my team building in October, and for many of them, it was so interesting. I asked recently, for many of you, I know it's your first month earning. Like recently, it was their first month earning an income through a beauty counter. And one of the beautiful moms in there said, outside of my old profession, like her old professional job that she did 9 to 5 before she decided to quit that job to stay home with her growing family, she was like, "This is the first time I have earned money outside of that, and it feels amazing." And so I am just so motivated by that kind of feedback. I'm so motivated by helping women to feel empowered. I'm so motivated by providing clean, safe ingredients for moms, for babies. But really, for me, it's helping women make money so that they can do the thing like stay home with their child. They can do the thing like provide a little bit of money for babysitting, all those reasons. So, anyways, just quick side note. So, in Beauty Counter monthly, we have training. And this month, the beautiful Emily Chapman, who is a person I am just getting to know. And if you're not familiar with her, I really want to encourage you to check her out. Like I said, I'm just getting familiar with her story, but she is a Catholic author. She has adopted several children, and she is also um, uh, a beauty counter consultant. And she shared something on why using products on more um, like as you age. So why using products as you age is really more about love for the skin that has been given to you by God, thanking it and loving it and giving it the respect and the love that it needs, rather than coming at it from a place of showing your age through wrinkles, for example, or age spots or whatever you want to insert, rather than trying to like avoid those at all costs. And it just like there were so many things about the way she presented it, like the tender care you could feel that she has for her own skin and for the way that she communicates to her customers, that really inspired me and really just gave me a new appreciation for my skin. So in this context, we're talking about skin. But I talked about this a few weeks ago on the podcast, where I talked about how if you hate your business and you are constantly like talking about resentment to your business, or how you feel like your business is taking away from what's really important, or just if you are coming at making money in your business from a place of hate, and it might be subconscious, like you might not even be conscious that you're thinking this, that you resent your business, or that business and money equals hustle or whatever. I really want to encourage you to see what happens when you come at it from a place of love. Love for your business, love for your audience, love for your offer, love for you as the provider. This is so tied up in being afraid of failing. When you think about it, when you make everything come from a place of fear, you're repelling something. You're like repelling an aspect that is simply just a reality of business. Sometimes you need to iterate, sometimes you need to practice, sometimes you need to gain clarity, and that's going to take a couple rounds. I'm going to tell you a really funny story. So, I have my signature group training program called Wealth Without Guilt. And we just moved to using a brand new platform to do a weekly webinar because I'm trying to practice what I preach over here. And I want to do a webinar frequently to get good at delivering the content so that I can connect with my people. And then, of course, invite them into something that I know they need, which is a unique lens to learning the actual practical skills and business acumen of launching a personal brand, launching a business, selling something online, but also the mindset in a Catholic anthropology, discovering and following God's will for your business, discovering how you can do that with a active family, discovering how you can do that and not have this resentment, not have this self-reliance. So I did the webinar on this new platform, and I was like, okay, there's a button you're supposed to press so that people get the link to actually join you. So I clicked it. And the whole time I'm like, nobody's clicking. You can see on the back end, like when people actually physically, it kind of gives you a notification when people buy and all that jazz. And I'm like, the whole time I'm like, I guess people really just don't like this. Guess what? I didn't actually publish the button live. There was no easy way for people to join. And so I just shared that comical story. I kicked myself, of course, because that is the most common shame for me, is the most common place that I land when it comes to failing. So I had a moment of like, oh, I can't believe you did that. If you had practiced, if you had gone more experience, of course, I had thoughts like, I'm really pulling back the curtain here, but of course, I had thoughts like if you hadn't switched platforms, you shouldn't have, like you shouldn't have done that. If you just kept it on the old one, oh my gosh, I had so much drama. But then, of course, I went to a place of self coaching where I was like, oh my gosh, how great is it that you learn this time so that next time you're able to make it easy for your people to buy. And of course, what happened next time, I was able to iterate. It was by this point the third time I had delivered this particular webinar. I was able to deliver it with a lot of confidence. I was able to deliver it with a lot of examples. And then, super fun, somebody bought as a result of that webinar. So I just, like, this is just so much encouragement. I could honestly talk about this ad nauseum. This is something I talk about all the time in my group coaching. We have got to simply embrace failure, embrace it, expect it, and then know what to do when it happens. And what not to do is kick yourself. What not to do is to go to this place of despair. I guess it's always going to be this hard. I guess I'm always going to fail as an entrepreneur. And also, what not to do is go to this place of resignation. Well, forget it. I'm never doing a webinar again. Imagine if I went there. Imagine if I said to myself, I am never doing a webinar again because I don't want to deal with this discomfort that I quote unquote failed at something because I didn't hit publish on a button. What if that failure is just learning? And this is where I really just want to land it and bring it home. That's why I hesitated even to use the word fail in the podcast title. But the thing is, fail is the word you use. So I, I need to use the word fail. But what if failure doesn't even exist? What if we simply are learning or winning? You either win or you learn. What if that is all that is? What if business, life, motherhood, marriage, the pursuit of it all, what if we just took failure completely out of it? Now, again, I'm not trying to say that we don't live in reality and that there are consequences to our actions, certainly. But what if there was so much less drama? Who wants less drama in their lives? I certainly do. And that is why the mindset piece is so important. It is not enough, in my humble opinion, to give you all the tools. And I'll tell you why it's not enough, because that was me. I was the entrepreneur who bought all the courses, who did all the things. But then as soon as it got hard, I would be like, forget this. Forget this. I'm not doing it. It's too hard. That is why the mindset piece is so valuable. Okay, so what are the 7 reasons why a business, why an entrepreneur can lead to failure? Number 1, you've not identified the actual problem your customer has and you haven't spoken in that language. Number 2, you may have built an audience, but you actually don't nurture it. You need to actually communicate with your audience, build a relationship, build that relationship equity that I love to speak about. Number 3, you need to give away content and not be afraid that if you give it away, people will not buy. Be generous with your people so that they build so much trust so that when you do make an offer, they can actually be a heck yes in advance. Number 4, you've got a great offer, but you have no easy way to buy. Number 5, it's not evident that you're actually open for business. You don't have an offer clearly available anywhere. Number 6, you're not open to B minus work. I really want to encourage you to simply get stuff out there and then use the intel and use the experience to make it better and better over time. And then, of course, let us not be afraid of failure. My friends, these are things that I help people overcome. If you are listening to these things and you're like, I do all 7, I struggle with all 7. And hey, over here, I've already told you, I am right there in the pool with you. I have struggles in every single one of these things. But what has changed? I got coaching. I got coached. I got better at dealing with failure, which is the biggest piece of all of these things. And if you want help in this area, if you want both the mindset and you want this skill set and you want a community of incredible faith based moms who want to put Jesus Christ at the center of their businesses, which is not something that is always talked about today on the internet, in my humble opinion, I have not yet found a verbose amount of training programs where this language, which is so important to a Catholic entrepreneur, is utilized. Let us put Christ Jesus at the center of our businesses and our business activities. Let us align our will to the will of God's, which includes your business, if that is what you have discerned you are called to. So I'm going to put the link right below in the description. I believe it's in the comments too, depending on where you are listening or interacting with this. And of course, if you have any questions about Wealth Without Guilt, I am just a DM away. DM me on Instagram at Lisa Canning, and I would love to journey with you further there. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for joining me. So wonderful to spend time with you right here, and just be assured that you can do it. And if you need some help believing you can do it, I want to help you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Teaching with Emmy says amen. Thank you. Forgive me that I cannot pronounce your first name, you beautiful person, but you're making an effort. The effort with intention in building a business is key. And then my friend Laura Ann says, this is so helpful, Lisa. Perfect timing as I finalize my free downloads for this week. All right, everybody. You can do it. Let's all continue to discover God's will for our businesses and our motherhood. See you next time.